Hey, it's Mazzy back. Thank you for visiting again. Whack-a-mole number 126, random pulls. We'll get to that in a moment, but I want to thank everyone for all the comments on the last Whack-a-mole, where I got somewhat socially political. I'm not going to talk into that now, but over 200 comments, and even the people I disagreed with were for the most part respectful. A couple wankers. Out of all those, I think I deleted 3. That's it, only 3, and because they were sort of homophobic, racist, anti-Semitic, misogynistic, and really like assholey fake news. Even a couple people talked about this documentary 2000 Mules, which is a total fake piece of shit documentary that it's not even real. It's been debunked, and as I said in a couple of responses, it's Marvel universe movies have more factual things in that. So anyway, enough of that, but thank you, and I appreciate it, and thanks for coming back. If you came back, I realize I think I lost about 6 subscribers, but I gained 15. So, it all balances out. The wankers got pushed aside. I'm kidding. Anyway, 5 random pulls. Now, I did do a bit of a shift here. I had to loosen things up. I had some room, and I expanded. I still have room in here, but I'm kind of going to keep my collection within the confines of this Record Zen library, except for my classical upstairs, my lounge music, and my soundtracks. Pretty much in collections, everything is in here, and new releases. So 5 random pulls. Now this is okay. I'm gonna do one here just because this is what Hollywood looks like. Movie lights. Ring lights are fucked up when you wear glasses. I mean, because look. So I want to pick something from the jazz show, but some people, especially Vinyl Richie, who has a YouTube channel here, doesn't trust me. So I'm gonna pull a jazz record. Okay, that's one. Can I put this back in position? I don't edit these because you can't edit Whack-a-mole, because then you think I'm not playing honestly. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, the first artist signed to Apple Records, as I recall, was James Taylor. His second album on Warner Brothers Records after Sweet Baby James was Mudslide Slim and what was it called? And The Blue Horizon. The Blue Horizon. Now, this is an autographed Mazzy copy. I realize there's about, I think, 24 albums in my collection, and I don't know what they are. I did not notate them. I should in Discogs, but I guess this was a time 71, 72-ish, when I was maybe bringing records over to friends, and we did this. So that's it. I stopped doing it. But my records are in very good shape. There's a slight little fade here, but look at this. 50-year-old record, 50-plus-year-old record. That inner sleeve, right? So, and the green Warner Brothers label. I'm always promoting those green labels anytime you want. And this is like a perfect record, Perfectly clean, beautiful record. I'm going to do a video at some point because people ask, Mazzy, how do you keep your records so nice? Well, I don't wash them. That's one thing. So they don't wear out. Like when you wash clothes too much, they wear out eventually. I'm kidding. Obviously, so American from the New England, I believe, originally, goes to England, expatriate for a while, hangs around England, gets hooked up. Peter Asher produces him for Apple. First, he signs to Apple, and then when Apple dissolved, Apple Records, Peter Asher actually, I don't know if he managed him, I think he did, and then he obviously managed Linda Ronstadt later, started producing his first few records, and Linda Ronstadt records, and this is a great record. Of course, it's got, what was unique about this, I think this is the same year Tapestry came out, and it's pretty generous for a writer, a songwriter. Of course, Carole King, Tapestry became huge, as was this. Not as huge as Tapestry, but really big. But he covered You've Got a Friend, literally the same time, more or less. I don't have my dates direct, that Carole King actually wrote that song. So, you know, these first few James Taylor records are one of those. It's that singer-songwriter period in the early 70s that's really was a big part of people my age. I mean, we were into the rock and roll, we were into the psychedelic stuff. You know, the Beatles were over, and Elton John and Carole King, James Taylor, so many others, singer-songwriter, folky kind of stuff. But and the whole Warner Brothers clique of musicians too. So really great record. Oh, okay. Who's next? Is this an American? Yeah, this is an American MCA copy, 1971. A lot of people feel this is the greatest Who record ever made. This is one of the greatest stadium records ever made. It's not my number one Who album, but of course I love it. Great cover photograph by the photographer Ethan Russell, who also shot the covers of Let It Be, Get Back, Let It Be, and the Hey Jude album, the Beatles album, their last official photo session, and went on tour in '69 with the Rolling Stones. Great photographer. You've seen his work. A lot of Linda Ronstadt as well. American, again, expatriate at the time, lives in the Bay Area now. This was sort of came out of the demos and project that Pete Townsend was working on, the Lighthouse Project, which I do have the CD set. And actually, when I talked about demos, I neglected to mention the Lighthouse project. And Townsend was really sampling and experimenting with synthesizers and that repetitive thing that he uses, obviously, in Babel O'Reilly and Won't Get Fooled Again. And I love this record. The only problem with this record now is the TV series and sequels, CSI, has wrecked most of the songs on this album, since they use several of the songs here. I think they use also Who Are You from one of the other albums. But I mean, you can't deny the greatness of this album, produced by Glenn Johns. What a fantastic record. It's an anthemic, heroic record. Anyway, there you go. The Who. This is a wonderful record. This is, if you like, sort of they refer to Leo Kottke and John Fahey and Sandy Bull and several other of these, the primitive guitar artist. I think Leo Kottke, this became sort of the hero album on Tacoma Records. Tacoma Records was the label that John Fahey started. It was his label, and very guitar-based for the most part, that folk thing. This came out, what is it, 71, 72? And it's such a great record. And this is 6 and 12 string guitar. And I remember the funny bit in this is one where I think it's all instrumental, and it refers to his voice. I don't sing on this one because my voice sounds like geese farts on a muggy day. I'll never forget that. And of course, you know, he did a series of records for Capitol Records, and I have most of them that he actually does sing. It's kind of a deep voice, not bad, but a lot of people prefer this record. Now, this is interesting pressing. I got this. I have an original copy of this, but this is from the Coleman collection. And this is number 2 of 5. This is Classic Records, the Classic Record audiophile that eventually Chad Kassam at Analog Productions bought these audiophile records. And this came directly, oh, never mind, this is not from the Coleman collection. Mea culpa. This came from Baraka P. Dub, from Paul, right? I'm so sorry, Paul. And this was from am I right? Hey, I'm going to apologize to Paul and Coleman, wherever you are, Coleman, because I am a senior citizen, so I don't always get those memories. You know, you have these created memories that you kind of think happened, but really didn't happen. But this is great. It's 2 of 5 from Michael Hobson, who's the founder of Classic Records, from his personal collection. and it's on the Clarity vinyl that we all know. Now the One Steps use it, and that super hoity-toity, over-the-top vinyl that has no extra caffeine added or no sulfites and, you know, that wonky audiophile shit. But love this record. And Paul, Baraka P. Deb, thank you so much again. Little certificate of authentically. You know, those of you who watch me, I have sort of a little bit of a dyslexia, a reverse word. So, you know, I mean, that's kind of like Joe Biden. People always like to dump on Joe Biden, especially from the other side. If you don't know, he actually, I mean, he is old, okay, granted, but he used to be a stutter, and he's a recovered, like King George, you know, former stutter. Okay, the best album, and if you don't have any Chicago Transit Authority records, this is the one to get. You know why? Because this is the only Chicago Transit Authority records. After this came out, they had to drop the Transit Authority because in Chicago there really is a Chicago Transit Authority. So that's why you see Chicago 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on, up to 4,800 or something. 1968, two great rock and roll, semi-psychedelic horn band albums came out, and this is probably the better. No, I mean, this is definitely the better known one, and this was the one that hit. The other one I show a lot is the debut from the Sons of Champlin on Capitol Records, San Francisco based, more jazzy, a little psychedelic, but has a great horn R&B section. But I mean, this had the great Terry Kath on guitar, and the songs on this is incredible, well recorded. It is beginnings. Does anyone know what really? Does anyone see the dyslexia is hitting in? Does anybody really know what time it is? That was a hit. Questions 67 and 68. I don't know what the first 66 questions were. They never asked. Poem 58. A cover of I'm a Man, the great Stevie Winwood led singer of the Spencer Davis Group song Love. This is a great version with that great sort of rhythmic intro and outro down with the, I just keep thinking of the wood blocks on that song. Now, I did, you know, this is actually timely because I referred in that last Whack-A-Mole about, you know, rock and roll and music and politics go hand in hand, and they do. And these people the people that say, just don't talk about that shit. Well, you know, maybe a certain generation or people are tired of it or they don't want to participate in the political system. That's all I'll mention here. But right here on side 4, Prologue, August 29, 1968, and Someday and Liberation, that whole side. They use live recordings, archival field recordings of the protest. The whole world is watching. The whole world is watching at the Democratic Convention when the riots happened in Chicago, the Chicago 7. Abby Hoffman, Jerry Rubin, Jane Hayden, Tom Hayden, and so on. But this is a fantastic record. Once they started using Roman numerals, they wrecked Roman numerals for me. And, you know, I could get through the first 4 albums, maybe including the live big one. After that, to me, they got kind of sappy. The irony connection with Sons of Champlin is Bill Champlin, later years, would join Chicago when they were kind of more mellowy and horn bass and stuff. But, you know, all the power to him because at least he made some money because Sons of Champlin never really sold records. So there you go. And the final one, this is a group I've showed, it's been a while, but I've showed this is a Best of Columbia. This is Lambert, Hendricks, and Ross, the best of. They're they're probably the most famous of the trio vocal jazz record makers ever. I mean, later years in the 70s, you probably heard of the Manhattan Transfer that go beyond that. They did a great version of Weather Report's Birdland with vocals that John Hendricks wrote. John Hendricks wrote the lyrics, and John Hendricks was John Hendricks here from Lambert, Hendricks, and Ross. Annie Ross is a favorite vocalist of mine, and this is such a great record. And it's produced by Irving Townsend and Teo Macero. Teo Macero, obviously, a A&R and producer at Columbia who worked with Miles Davis quite a bit. Most knowingly, a bunch of records, but including Bitches Brew. But it's vocal jazz pop. If you've heard the song, it's on here, I believe. It's Twisted on here. Yeah, Twisted. Twisted is a Joni Mitchell did a cover of it on her album Court and Spark, which was a great, I think it was a hit for her actually, a single off that album, Summertime. But their 3-part vocal harmonies are sublime, and they're just very beatnik scatty like. And anytime I see, I probably have 5 of their records, and they didn't make a lot of records, but they're fantastic records of jazz pop vocals, if you will, and just the harmonies and how quick they are really wonderful. So this is a good comp, a 70s comp I got during my record store days. You see when they did these in record stores where they put this means what happened is, what is this, a KC? Yeah, KC. Before this, I think it was just a C, or either CS. This is Columbia Records now. CS were $4.98 a list. KCs, they raised it to $5.98 list. So a lot of times, instead of waiting, just as things rolled out and sell less, they would take their stock they'd have in the warehouses and slap the new code over, so you knew they were a higher list price. So the retailers would sell them at the higher list price and could not return them. Anyway, it's complicated, but that just, if you care about the record business back in the 70s, that's what that's about. CS, PC, KC, PC, and so on. Money talk. So that's it, Whack-A-Mole number 126. Thank you again. I really appreciate it. Subscribe. Half of you are not subscribers. Why? What are you doing? Watching Matlock every night and taking your time there? Jesus Christ. Nancy loves you.